There were two sons, one brown and one white, and their father, a stern, muscular cat who had always placed great importance on success. The brown cat had always been a star athlete, excelling in sports, particularly track, while the white cat struggled to find his way. One day, after winning a prestigious race, the brown cat proudly approached his father, holding up his gold medal. He had worked so hard, and his eyes gleamed with excitement. But Father Cat didn't share in his joy. Instead, he simply looked at his son, eyes cold and hungry. Without much of a smile, Father Cat bought the brown cat a new pair of running shoes, an extravagant gift that seemed to be the only sign of approval. The white cat, however, watched silently from the side, his heart sinking. He too had worked hard, though his efforts had always been overlooked. He approached Father Cat, clutching his worn shoes, and asked, "Why didn't I get a gift too? I've been training too." Father Cat's gaze turned sharp and cold. "You don't deserve it," he said flatly. "You haven't been doing a good job. You need to work harder, just like your brother." Feeling crushed, the white cat retreated to his room, but his heart burned with determination. Instead of giving up, he used his father's harsh words as motivation. Every day, whether in the rain or under the hot sun, he trained relentlessly. He hit the gym harder than ever, pushing himself beyond his limits. Years passed, and the white cat's hard work began to pay off. He became stronger, faster, more determined than ever. But still, his father's gaze remained cold and distant, always focused on the brown son. When the white cat looked up, he often saw his father playing and laughing with the brown cat, paying him no mind. 10 years later, Father Cat found himself standing in a dimly lit alley, staring at his favorite son, the brown cat. He was leaning against the wall, a cigarette dangling from his mouth, looking like a shell of his former self. His once sleek fur had grown scruffy, and his body had become sluggish. He had squandered the potential his father had pushed him to achieve, and now he looked like a crocked-up mess. Father Cat, with his stern face, felt a pang of regret as he realized the cost of his favoritism. Father Cat stood still, his heart heavy with a sense of guilt and regret. As he gazed at his once strong brown son, now reduced to a shell of his former self, it was impossible to ignore the consequences of the choices he had made. His obsession with the brown cat's success and his disregard for the white cat's quiet determination had led them both down different paths. The brown cat, once celebrated for his athleticism and achievements, had succumbed to a life of bad habits and poor decisions. His eyes, once full of pride, were now dull, and his body, once strong and agile, had become weak and sluggish. He took another drag from his cigarette, the embers glowing in the dark alleyway, and didn't seem to notice his father's presence. Father Cat could feel the weight of the years of neglect and favoritism pressing down on him. He thought back to the times he had ignored the white cat's potential, focusing only on the brown cat. He had treated his youngest son as if he were invisible, dismissing his hard work and determination. And now, standing before him, the brown cat was lost in a haze of cigarettes and regret. But it wasn't too late. Father Cat knew that he had failed his sons, but he was determined to make things right. He had been so caught up in comparing their achievements, forgetting that love and support were just as important. The question now was whether either of his sons could forgive him, and if there was a chance to rebuild the trust that had been broken. With a sigh, Father Cat turned and walked away from the alley, his mind racing with thoughts of redemption. He had been a terrible father, but it wasn't too late to try and make up for his mistakes.